Good evening, one and all. Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2026, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 78 years of independence and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030, and Viksit Bharat at 2047. As part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Arts, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
पुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं पुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं पुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं पुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's celebrations and commemorations. National Tapioca Day bubbles up every June 28, inviting us to explore this versatile and often misunderstood carb made from cassava plant. Topico is most famously known in creamy puddings and chewy boba tea. And take this day to brave a new tapioca dish, revisit a childhood favorite, or share your love for its unique texture with others with sweet, savories, and so on. Today is also commemorated as Constitution Day in Ukraine on June 28th. Every year, commemorating the adoption of Ukraine's modern constitution in 1996, this pivotal day marks a cornerstone of the nation's sovereignty and democratic development. Join Ukrainians worldwide in reflecting on the principles of freedom and justice, supporting civic education, and celebrating nation unity. Today is also commemorated as Family Day in Vietnam on June 28th. Cherishes the core values of Vietnamese families every June 28th. This day, established in 2001, promotes prosperity, equality, progression, and happiness within households. Join in cultural festivals, participate in community support campaigns, and spend quality time with your loved ones to honor this special day. Today is also commemorated as National Climate Smart Skin Awareness Day on Jan 28 in US every year. Urges us to consider how our local climate impacts skin health, discover personated skincare routines that adapt to your environment, protecting your skin from diverse weather challenges learn to make informed choices for healthier, more resilient skin. Today is also commemorated as National Fatherless Children on June 28th in US, on fourth Sunday of June, acknowledging the profound impact of fatherlessness on children and families. This day raises awareness about the detrimental consequences that a lack of paternal involvement can have on individuals and communities. Join the conversation, stop mentorship programs, and advocate for resources. Today is also commemorated as Log Cabin Day on June 28th in US. Arrives every last Sunday of June, celebrating the simple beauty and enduring legacy of these iconic dwellings. From humble frontier homes to cozy modern retreats, log cabins evoke a sense of history and tranquility. Take a moment to appreciate their unique craftsmanship, explore historical sites, or plan your own rustic gateway. It is also commemorated as National Insurance Awareness Day on June 28th every year in US. Spotlights the critical role of insurance every June 28th. This day encourages everyone to review their policies, understanding coverage options, and ensure adequate protection for their families and assets. Take action by consulting an agent, comparing quotes, and safeguarding your future. Today is also commemorated as National Logistics Day on June 28, 2026. Rolls around every June 28, shining a spotlight on the indispensable professionals who power global supply chains, from intricate warehousing to complex transportation networks. These experts ensure everything from raw materials to finished products reach their destination efficient. Take a moment to appreciate the passion and dedication behind every delivery, explore career opportunities, and learn more about industry's future. Today is also commemorated as Stonewall Riot's anniversary on June 28. Marks the pivotal 1969 uprising that sparked the modern LGBTQ rights movement. This day honors the courage of those who stood up against oppression, advocating for freedom of choice and identity. Reflect on the legacy of Stonewall and find ways to support ongoing efforts for equality and inclusion. Today is also commemorated as Toy Day on June 28th in US. Toy Day champions the mathematical constant tau every June 28th. This day celebrates the ratio of circles' circumference to its radius, offering a fresh perspective on geometry. Join the growing movement of mathematicians and enthusiasts who believe toy is more initiative than pi. Explore the argument, share your insights, and celebrate the elegance of circles. Today is also commemorated and celebrated with other celebrations. So, due to other events, we could not commemorate and celebrate yesterday and day before yesterday's commemoration. So, 27th June is commemorated as Micro, Small, and Medium-Sized Entrepreneurs with the theme for 2026, Empowering MSMEs through Innovation and Sustainable Industrial Development. MSMEs account for around 90% of business worldwide. MSMEs generate 60 to 70% of employment globally. MSMEs contribute about 50% of global GDP, are essential for creating local jobs and advancing inclusive growth, especially for women and young people. So micro, small, and medium-sized entrepreneurs are the backbone of economies worldwide, representing more than 90% of businesses and contributing significantly to employment, livelihoods, and economic growth. As the world confronts intersecting economic, social, environmental, and technological challenges, empowering MSMEs through innovation and sustainable industrial development is essential to building resilient economies. Advancing Sustainable Development Goal 9, Industry, Innovation and Infrastructure, and accelerating progress across the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Micro, small, and medium sized entrepreneurs are key sources of jobs, income, and local growth, especially for women, young people, and vulnerable groups. Their size and flexibility help build strong, fair, and sustainable communications. However, many of these businesses face serious challenges. They often struggle to get loans and deal with poor infrastructure and work under tough conditions. Many operate informally, which limits their access to funding, legal rights, and governmental support. Today, global challenges like political tensions, climate change, and the digital shifts make it even harder for them to survive. Supply chain issues, higher costs, and uncertain markets have left many at risk. A huge global funding gap remains despite clear opportunities to grow. At the same time, rapid advances in digital technologies, artificial intelligence, and green innovation offer unprecedented opportunities for MSMEs to increase productivity, improve resilience, access new markets, and support sustainable industrial development. Ensuring that MSMEs can benefit from these transformers and are not left behind by them requires targeted investment, supportive policies, and strengthened partnerships. To help these business succeed, better policies and more accessible funding are crucial. Support for skills training, innovation, and fair rules can also make a big difference since many operate outside the formal system, making it easier to register, access benefits, and follow labor laws will help create better jobs and stronger economies. MSMEs are powerful engines of innovations, job creation, and sustainable development by expanding access to technology, digital infrastructure, affordable finance, and market opportunities. Governments and partners can help MSMEs drive inclusive growth, strengthen resilience, and contribute to the sustainable industrial development. MSMEs account for 90% of business, 60 to 70% of the employment, and 50% of the GDP worldwide. As the backbone of societies everywhere, they contribute to local and national economies and to sustaining livelihoods, in particular among the working poor, women, youth, and groups in vulnerable solutions and situations. MSMEs hold the potential to transform economies, foster job creation, and promote equitable economic growth if given adequate support. MSME A Day aims to highlight their pivotal role and explore opportunities for their further advancement. The United Nations General Assembly designated 27 June as Micro, Small, and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day by Resolution 71 by 279 to raise awareness of the tremendous contributions of MSMEs to the achievement of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. 27th June is also commemorated as International Day of Deaf Blindness. Recognizing deaf blindness a distinct disability required special support and inclusion. Deaf blindness is a combined vision and hearing impairment of such severity that is hard for the impaired sense to compensate for each other and is thus a distinct disability with its own specific challenges, barriers, and requirements for the support and inclusion. Different from provided individuals who are solely deaf or blind, deaf-blind persons have faced barriers owing to deafness, blindness, and not being treated and are recognized as a distinct disability, further leading to invisibility in statistics, policies, and programs, and therefore impeding access to services. Professional deaf-blind interpreters or interpreter guides are critical in ensuring access to information, communication, services, and fundamental rights as enabling individuals with deaf blindness to live independently and be included in the community. The General Assembly adopted Resolution 79 by 294, proclaiming 27 June of each year the International Day of Deaf Blindness. This day commemorates the birth of renowned author Helen Keller, 1880 to 1968, one of the most iconic figures in the deaf blindness community. Helen Keller visited the United Nations headquarters in 1949, and Miss Keller is seen during a committee meeting with her secretary, Miss Polly Thompson, who is interpreting the debate for her. The red and white striped cane is used by the deaf-blind community as an important tool for mobility and identification. Today is also commemorated as International Day in support of victims of torture on June 26th every year. Torture is a crime against humanity under international law. According to all relevant instruments, it is absolutely prohibited and cannot be justified under any circumstances. This rule is part of the widely accepted international law. It means that every country must follow it, even if they haven't agreed to specific treaties prohibiting torture. The systematic or widespread practices of torture constitutes a crime against humanity. The United Nations has condemned torture from the outset as one of the vilest acts perpetuated by human beings on their fellow human beings. On 12 December 1997, by Resolution 52 by 149, the UN General Assembly proclaimed 26 June the United Nations International Day in support of victims of torture with a view of the total eradication of torture and the effective functioning of the Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. The observance serves as a call to action for all stakeholders, including UN member states, civil society, and individuals everywhere, to unite in support of the hundreds of thousands of people around the world who have been victims of torture and those who are still tortured today. There is no excuse for the use of torture, aims to destroy the victim's personality and negates the intrinsic dignity of the human being. Although international law absolutely prohibits torture, it continues to occur around the world. There is an increase in the use of torture worldwide. It partly correlated to the fact that we have more wars going on in this world since 1945. The International Committee of the Red Cross says there are 100 armed conflicts currently going on, and regrettably, with armed conflict comes an uptick in the use of torture and other forms of inhuman treatment. Hence, the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, Alice Jill Edwards, although the pretext of safeguarding national security and borders frequently employed to justify torture and other forms of cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. The extensive impact of torture often extends beyond the individual act, potentially perpetuating cycles of violence across generations. I rebuke the argument that it is natural coalescence because I think disciplined troops do not torture. I think enough armies in this world know the rules of laws of war. They know that torture is absolutely prohibited in all circumstances. There are no excuses for torture. Recovering from torture requires prompt and specialized programs. The work of rehabilitation centers and organizations around the world has demonstrated that victims can make the transition from horror to healing. The UN Voluntary Fund for the Victims of Torture, administered by the UN Human Rights Offices in Geneva, is a unique victim-focused mechanism that channels funding for the assistance to victims of torture and their families. Established in 1981, the fund provides legal, social, humanitarian, psychological, and medical services Beneficiaries include human rights defenders, persons deprived of liberty, children and adolescents, refugees and migrants, victims of enforced disappearances, indigenous peoples, victims of sexual and gender-based violence, and LGBTI persons, among others. The United Nations has repeatedly acknowledged the important role played by the non-governmental organizations, NGOs, in the fight against torture. In addition to lobbying for the establishment of United Nations instruments and monitoring mechanisms, they have made a valuable contribution to their enforcement. Individual experts, including the Special Rapporteur on Torture and the Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women, and treaty monitoring bodies such as Committee Against Torture, rely heavily on the information brought to their attention by NGOs and individuals. Today is also commemorated as International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking on 26 June every year. UNODC issues World Drug Report full of key statistics and factual data. Through official sources and a science-based approach and research, UNODC continues to provide facts and practical solutions to address the current world drug problem and remains committed to attaining health for all. Health and justice sectors are under pressure and access to services and support is obstructed when we can least afford. By Resolution 42/112 of 7 December 1987, the General Assembly decided to observe June as the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking as an expression of its determination to strengthen action and cooperation to achieve the goal of international society free of drug abuse, supported each year by individuals, communities, and various organizations all over the world. This global observance aims to raise awareness of the major problem that illicit drugs represent to society. Global drugs use and the number of drugs on the market have been increasing in the past decades. The century-long dominance of heroin in illicit drug opioid markets is increasing, being challenged by challenges in the illegal supply of opioids. Production, seizures, and the use of cocaine continue to rise, while low costs of manufacture and reduced risk of detection of synthetic drugs are contributing to their increase on illicit drug markets. Drug trafficking groups are seeking out technological innovations to target new audiences and ensure that drugs increasingly reach their users and help boost their billion-dollar businesses. Illicit drug markets have always been adapting, and organizing crime has always been looking to exploit gaps in the government and regulation. In response to these challenges, this year's campaign will showcase the international community, local and national governments, civil society, and the public is working together on the innovative response to reduce demands for and supply of illicit drugs and thus mitigate threats. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations and celebrations. See you all tomorrow at the same time with the same joining link with different commemorations and celebrations. Take care. Good night.